Welcome back. Man, it's been a while. Welcome back to the Fergus Spotlight, which isn't the Fergus Spotlight today. Welcome to the Fergus Hotlight. I'm excited for this. It's a lot of work has gone into putting this together, bringing this crew together, this trio here that's gonna knock this hot wing challenge out. But this is going to be a little bit different spin. If you guys have been following the Fergus Spotlight for a while, you've maybe noticed there's been a break in the show. I haven't recorded a show since the middle of July. So we're coming back with a little bit different look and just keep it fresh and keep it fun and maybe a little less serious and just have some fun with these things. So I've had so much fun with Zane as a co-host in previous episodes that it just only felt right to bring in Zane, my culinary co-host for this Hotlight episode, mini-series, whatever it ends up being. But Zane, welcome to it, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. I have been excited for this, I think, since August when we started talking about it. And I agree with you. Doing podcasts with you in the past have been a lot of fun. Excited to learn a lot from Ryan today. Also ready to get hot with it. I think our mouths are going to be on fire, and maybe Ryan can help us put them out.
Yeah, Ryan Muchow is, okay, let's get this out of the way right away here. ChatGPT is maybe feeding me some wrong information, but it's saying pronounced Muchow? No.
You had it right.
Muchow. So ChatGPT, don't listen to what ChatGPT has to say, but maybe at least they can get some of our fire history, but you can clarify on that. But Ryan Muchow, our fire chief here, our Fergus Falls fire chief, has been kind enough to participate in this this day with us. So we're going to get to know all about Ryan's background, some history of firefighting. We're going to dive into, the origins of the local fire department, maybe talk about some historical fires that have happened in our community. It should be a lot of fun. And then, maybe some future outlook on the fire department here in our community, what's going on. And then throughout the interview, Zane is going to be bringing us a selection of different wings.
Yes.
So you can see here we have a progressive board here. We're going to be working our way up to what I can only assume is going to be a terrible experience at the end of this episode, Ryan.
Yeah. That one's going to hurt a little bit, I think.
This seemed like a great idea a couple months ago when you reached out. As the time's coming, I'm like, oh, my mouth's going to be on fire.
So are you a hot sauce guy? Are you do you love hot things?
Well, a little, but nothing too crazy. I've been known to put some hot sauce, jalapenos on meals.
Okay.
It's not a matter.
It's a little bit above the normal Midwestern palate, I think.
Yeah, I'm above the salt and pepper.
Sure. Okay. Good. Ketchup's not too spicy.
Ketchup's not too spicy. Grew up, graduated to barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Love it. Well,
Sweet.
Zane, are you ready? Do you need to go cook these wings? You need to go cook up some wings?
I'm gonna get back in the kitchen and get it going.
So this first one,
Yeah.
you're gonna go do your thing with it.
Absolutely.
And then you let us know, I guess, come back and we'll get to know his background a little bit. Before we get into it, we do have a few people that we need to thank that helped bring this episode together. Obviously, we're here in Toast and Union right now. Evan from Toast was kind enough to open up his establishment to us here on a Sunday evening when no one else was around. So we've got he just kind of gave us the keys, gave Zane the keys to the kitchen and just sort of said, let us have free reign here. So thank you to Toast and Union for doing this. Uncle Eddie's we didn't get Uncle Eddie's ice cream, but in some future episodes, Uncle Eddie's, it was just a coordination thing. It was my fault that I didn't get over there to pick up some ice cream from them, but they'll be providing ice cream in the future. And then, we had some help from Victor Lundeen's and Signworks to bring this logo to life. Caleb Rodering over there, he does some really, really good work at Victor Lundeen's with some logo design. So shout out to everybody who helped make this episode happen. And let's get into, we'll let Zane go get that first wing ready. I'm excited for it. And we'll get to know Ryan a little bit. So you are a Fergus native, correct?
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
And it looks like the only thing I really have on you.
Are you muting me?
Oh, yeah, I'll mute you out here. That's right. The only thing I really have on you here is that you were appointed in 2017 after 12 years on the Moorhead Fire Department. So you must have had a career you left Fergus and ended up coming back. But talk about growing up in Fergus a little bit.
Yeah, so Fergus native, grew up here. Actually, my parents owned the locker plant out on Highway 210, going east of town, and worked there. Certainly grew up in kind of that meat industry and got to learn that trade. But I always had this little childhood hint where I wanted to be on the fire department. And a lot of times, we had scanners growing up, so you would hear if the fire trucks were going out, and my parents were always so kind as to not follow the fire trucks, but get us kind of close and see where they're at, and just always really kind of admired the work that the firefighters did here in town, and thought, gosh, that would be kind of neat to get to be a part of that group someday. And through growing up and keeping the interest, certainly. Worked in the meat industry some with my parents, but then turned 19 years old and I got to join the Fergus Falls Fire Department.
Okay. Did you go to college somewhere?
Yeah. So after I joined I stayed in town, joined the fire department, realized that, gosh, this is it's something different every single day. Every single call's got a little unique flavor to it, and that this is pretty neat. So from there, I went to the firefighting courses at Northwest Technical College in Moorhead, now known as, was MSCTC. Now it's, I think, M-State. Did the courses there to get certifications needed to be hired full-time somewhere. Didn't know where. I ultimately wanted to be in Moorhead. The positions here, there's only two at the time in 1999 that were full-time, the fire chief and fire inspector. Soon after, they added the training officer position.
Okay.
But through my travels, was hired in Moorhead full-time, and just through my career there, went through some ranks to the captain level, and then also finished up my degree, both in fire science and along with emergency and disaster management. And I guess in a sense, got myself set up to where when the previous chief Sparky Hovland, Mark Hovland, when he retired.
Shout out Sparky.
Right.
Sparky was a good guy. Sparky was a good guy for sure.
Yeah, 22 years as our fire chief. That's pretty admirable. So
Heck yeah.
Good. When he retired, looked at the job posting, and it's my hometown, and that I think it'd be pretty neat to at least go through the process. Not really. I don't know. You don't go through something thinking that you're the one person that's going to be selected, but it was just a really good process that they put together. Andrew Bremseth was their city administrator at the time, and still is. Yep. And just really a banner process they went through, and I got the call, several hours after the interview, offering the job, and
awesome.
And here I am.
So you really have been. You were interested in this even before you graduated high school. This was you were like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to do this. I want to go into this. Yeah. Have you done much? Did you do much traveling, or did you get to go do some things before you moved back to Fergus with your career in that firefighting? Or
no. I spent some time in Aberdeen, South Dakota. That's kind of the unknown fact of myself. I first got hired there full time, and that was in the era when Minnesota was having some budget challenges, and Moorhead was unsure of, where they're going to be able to keep their staff. And they had an opening, and they had said, hey, we're ready to hire you when we have the funding. And it was hard at that time to wait on a job, so I took one in Aberdeen. And unfortunately, after working there for a couple weeks, Moorhead called and said, hey, we have that position for you, and it's certainly close to home. And but as for travels for training, there's lots of unique training opportunities that are provided through the federal government, really. The National Fire Academy is out in Emmitsburg, Maryland. There's hazardous materials training in Anniston, Alabama. Even just this last year, it's the third time I've been out there, but Pueblo, Colorado. It has to do with rail and bulk flammable liquid fires. One of the only spots where you actually can do live fire training here in the United States of such caliber.
What was that process? Talk a little bit more about that process, getting hired through the city council, I assume. Did they narrow all you guys down to the group that was going to go in front of the council to be appointed?
I don't know if they brought the whole group in. I think ultimately, it was an interview panel, and I remember distinctly the panel included then public safety chief Kyle Berggren, Andrew, the city HR, along with two outstate chiefs, the Brainerd chief, and then also the Alexandria chief, were all part of the interview process. Okay. So really, they brought in some good perspective for the city to look at each candidate that came through there. Nice. To see what they had to offer, and the process also included a demonstration or presentation just on the community itself and the potential fire protection needs, along with the normal interview of several questions.
Well, we can maybe talk more about it as it's relevant, if your background, if it matters. I kind of want to talk about, we're a little bit behind here on the sauces, so I'm not sure when our wing is coming. Zane, I'm not sure when that's coming, but if we have to pause to let him catch up with the interview, because we have 6 sauces to get through. I have quite the show sheet to get through, so I assume we're going to have plenty to talk about throughout the interview here. But let's just keep rolling on, and then as the wings come in, we'll get to them when they come. I'm ready. I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
Yes.
You come hungry? I came hungry. I came hungry. So, but what do you know about general history? Oh, here it is. Here it is. That's perfect. This is good timing. Well, we'll get into general history of firefighting here, but Zane's going to talk about this wing with us here.
Whoa,
so
almost lost it. Almost lost that one.
Oh, okay. It looks delicious here. It smells great.
So this one is a dry rub.
Okay.
This comes from Bush's Dreams. It's an Australian brand. It's one of my favorite. I found this dry rub this last couple months, actually, from a friend of mine at a restaurant locally. Pepperberry, very sweet, but it does have a little fiery kick. Okay. It also has Tasmanian mountain peppers in this blend, along with some brown sugar, kosher salt, granulated garlic, and a little bit of oregano. So I've never had it on a chicken wing. I've had it on pork.
Okay. Well, let's give it a go here. It looks
might delicious. Be warm. Might be warm. It just came out of the fryer, so.
Okay, so this is the first one. I thought that I was gonna get like something mild right away. Like it's kind of, I mean, we're not getting, but it's gonna be hot. Like these are all gonna be some level of hot.
This one's on the milder side.
It's more smoky.
Yeah. Yeah. We try to start light, but something that's a little bit different than what you're maybe used to having.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Definitely that rub. Yeah, that's good. It'd probably be good dipped in like ranch.
Now you're just ruining it.
We're ruining it at that point.
What's the rule? What's the rule? What kind of rule are we going with here? We're naked wings here, just sauce and wings.
Yeah.
And then there are some cooling agents as we get
we'll
up the
bust
ladder.
Up some ice cream when we get towards the end of there.
Okay. So
I got a question for both of you though.
Yeah.
Flat or drummy? Flats or drummies?
Flats or drummies? Drummies.
I am a drummy.
Really?
I'm a drummy kind of guy, but
I'm a flats.
I can do it.
All right.
That's good to know. I have my options back there, so I'll bring you some drummies.
I love it. General history of firefighting, like ancient roots. Did you study that? I mean, you went to school for all this stuff. I assume you guys talked about the bucket brigades and all of that stuff.
There is, and in history is part of the subject matter. Even in the firefighters we hire here, we call it, they go through firefighter 1 and 2 training, and there's a chapter within the text where they look at and study the history of firefighting. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, firefighting really has been around. It's more organized in the ancient Roman Empire area. There they actually had like 7,000 men that were the fire cavalry, so to speak, in ancient Rome that provided prevention and inspection and suppression for that era. And then if we fast forward into the United States, the earliest fire prevention code and enforcement, in a sense, was in the 1600s and is on the East Coast, and it read, that chimneys shall not be made out of wood material.
Boston, 1631.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. The chimney ordinance of Boston, 1631. Yep. Of course, everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes. Thanks for going there. I don't want to be. I don't want to be that guy that comes up and just starts dropping dates, but I did make notes on it.
I love it. I love it.
I do
That's
have
great.
the dates, but I'm like, wow, who's going to remember that? But it's kind of that fun fact.
Yeah,
you know,
for
of
sure.
how things were constructed, and it maybe sometimes adds some benefit even to hear where we've come from that helps understand our modern construction.
Right. Obviously, my assistant here prepared some outlines of the history. Going back, there's proof in the hieroglyphs. Records suggest organized fire brigades existed as early as 2500 BCE or earlier. Firefighting wasn't yet organized. Often enslaved people, these many men that you spoke of, enslaved people were carrying out these bucket brigades. It looks like in 24 BCE, there was a guy named Marcus Lincolnius. He organized a group of private enslaved men, and he negotiated with desperate homeowners before letting those men put out their fires. So he had extorted homeowners with his enslaved men to put out fires. And then it got a little bit more... the insurance companies, the early insurance companies were basically extorting people as well, right? So like it would be like if you and Corey Fry and the boys showed up to Outstate and it's burning and you're like, hey, Pat, do you want this fire out or what? What's it worth it to you? So we have come a long ways. I think that like when I looked into the history of it, that was by far the most interesting part of the fire history was just the manipulation or I guess, exploitation of people through that. So,
I'll jump in and you're exactly right. It's private fire companies, and they would connect up with insurance, and that's some of our terminology still to this day comes into play. I mean, we call like our groups of firefighting forces companies, but realizing that wasn't a good way to provide whole community fire protection, they started to move away from and have obviously moved away from, company protection that way where they're coupled up with an insurance to where a municipality or a governmental unit basically took over fire protection just so it's the betterment of all within the community. But there are still fire companies out there, and they're privately ran, but they're not what they were, 200 years ago, where they were funded by an insurance company, and they selected on who they responded to. They are a full community response, whether they're municipal ran or if they were private fire company.
Yeah, it looks like here France and Austria, or it says Paris created one of the first municipal firefighting units in 1718, following a early, like it was like a big fire that destroyed 13,000 homes or something, led to this creation. But Zane, do you want to? We're moving through the sheet with the sauces, so I want to stay on the sauces. Yeah. Do you want to just go do? Should we
got two of them?
Yeah. Do you want to bring out 2 and 3?
Yep.
And then we'll go from there. We'll keep
good.
Keep
You'll
chatting.
pass those on over to me.
Oh yes. Love it. All right. So back to kind of that early founding in America. You mentioned 1631, the chimneys, and then like in the 1700s, it looks like Ben Franklin organized the Union Fire Company.
He did. Yep.
Do you know much about that?
Well, it was 1735, and it was to date the first known like volunteer fire company established, and it was by Benjamin Franklin in Philadelphia. A lot of them, known as hook and ladder companies. Where they would use hooks basically. The building was on fire. They used these large hooks and they would tear down the walls, and that was a way of. They maybe didn't have the water that we have nowadays, but they would, in a sense, the building that was on fire, ultimately, usually that met its demise, but they would pull parts of the walls down to keep it from spreading to neighboring properties.
Huh. Interesting. And then obviously the equipment. I mean, that's the biggest thing that we have to talk about probably, and we will towards the end of the episode when we get into like future outlook. But it literally, we've moved from hand pumps to, it looks like by mid to late 1600s, leather hoses, and then the early steam engines kind of came around in the early 1800s. But we've come a long ways from buckets.
We have, yes, and it was the bucket brigades, and I know this kind of gets into our origins, but we were no different when our department was organized. It consisted of several buckets, a couple axes, some ladders, and the pike poles, or the poles that would be used with some distance to help pull down burning material to help keep it from spreading.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the bucket brigades, and there's still some. When I was growing up, I distinctly even remember it was in Underwood. They had an old time bucket brigade competition, and it wasn't to put out a fire, but it was just to kind of illustrate the passing of the bucket. And it was kind of funny. Wouldn't be funny if there was a fire, but for this event, it was fun to watch. And that sometimes by the time that bucket got to the end, it didn't have a whole lot of water left. Still today, when people see fire, it's a force to reckon with. I mean, it's very dangerous.
Right.
And then there's that in itself. We get some adrenaline going, and we move quickly. And sometimes when we move quickly, we're not quite as smooth as we ought to be. And yeah, the bucket brigades were proof that not all the buckets were completely filled and that effective when it was time to dump it to the fire.
Yeah. So you had obviously you had that, then the leather hoses, and then, like I mentioned, the fire steam engines, and then the modern fire apparatus, as far as the breathing apparatus, kind of came to be in the early 1900s. Obviously, it's changed a lot, but it allowed people to enter buildings in smoky environments, and that kind of changed the game as far as sending people in after people.
It was, yeah. Early on firefighting, it really was a defensive approach. Defensive meaning you're engaged in the fire, but you're not going into the building to try to put it out where it started. It was protect the exposures. We still do that today. It's one of our priorities is to protect exposures, but ultimately our goal is to get into a building, so long as it's not too well involved with fire, but we have the equipment to get in and try to push that fire and knock it out where it started or close to where it started. Still does tons of damage, and it's just horribly destructive. But ultimately we were trying to be faster at the fire suppression and keep a building standing. More than what had happened, a couple centuries ago.
Right. And then you've got some more modern gear that came to be, well, let's talk about, I guess, those early steam engines. I know you probably have a story of that when we get into like the founding of the Fergus Falls Fire Department, the steam engine, but those early steam engines weren't much. They weren't much.
Horse-drawn carriage.
Right.
And as you can imagine, even steam, it takes time to build up pressure, and you need the fuel. So you need to be carrying wood in the first ones, to create heat. So yeah, not super effective, but a step above a hand pump, where you actually had firefighters standing on a cart and hand pumping water. And certainly a step in a better direction than passing buckets. But it is kind of neat to watch the evolution come through the fire service, and how water is just simply delivered. Even as much as water mains, early water mains, or the plug, meaning the fire hydrant. That term is still used today. Catch that plug. That's our slang for the fire hydrant at a corner, or we just call it a hydrant. But you'll still hear it creep in once in a while. And some of that it goes back to those early days. Is the plug was basically a hole that was. If it wasn't there already, they would drill a hole into the water main because it'd be exposed, wasn't buried the way we are today, and they would basically start to draw water out of the water main. And in early years, sometimes it was hollowed out wood or hollowed out trees that would deliver the water. So then when you're done, you got to plug it. So you put a wood plug into the spot that you drilled. So then you could also use that for the next time a fire broke out in that area. You can grab that plug. It's already been drilled and pop it out.
And now fire hydrants are literally just that, except for they're just tapped off of the underground water main.
Yep, fire hydrants are they're the water we drink here in town. They're connected right to that water supply, and but as much as they are for our well-being as humans to take in nourishment, they are there for fire protection.
Right. So, as far as the code, the governance and laws really changing, we talked about it a little bit. It looks like the early fire codes started to kind of show up in the 1600s, 1700s. Colonial towns mandated certain flammable, or they banned certain flammable building materials and started to fine people who failed to respond to fires. Insurance and fire marks. We've talked about those private brigades, but really the municipalization or like municipal nature of things really started in 1803 in Boston with the first U.S. city-run fire department. And then you saw Cincinnati in the mid-1800s formed the first fully paid professional fire department, adopting steam-powered engines and full-time crews. Other U.S. cities followed, phasing out these private fire brigades. And then it looks like in 1896, the National Fire Protection Association formed as a series of devastating fires. Chicago and Boston kind of forced us to take more serious note of these, I guess, and come up with some standardized equipment, hose couplings, codes for sprinklers, electrical systems. All that stuff really started to just like, you had all the code era really started to come. Yep. And now I can only imagine how long fire codes get now. I mean, the evolution of the fire code.
There's a lot in fire code, and it's rightfully so. When we take any code class, and we take a lot of good guidance from the State Fire Marshal's office here in Minnesota, along with the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Agency. They're the ones that really kind of focusing and push out that code with consensus groups that look at what should be included in the code. But yeah, there gets to be a lot that comes along with fire code, and any class that we go to, it's just a good reminder that almost every code there's a story tied to it, that a tragedy happened, and sometimes it's tough. We want to be proactive in what we do in all things, but a lot of times fire code it's reactive because of some sort of significant event.
Yeah. We've got Zane's back. Zane's coming back. Look, right.
I'm back.
So we've got 2 and 3 here. Do you have the bottles we can get on display back up here too? Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. We'll get
my assistant will.
Yeah, we'll
grab those.
So we're almost through the fire history here. We'll get sauce number 2 out here. We'll talk about it. What do we have here for wing number? And which one is wing number 2?
On your right and on your left will be wing number 2. So this one. Okay. Yep. This is that black truffle, Melinda's black truffle. Very truffle forward, but it does have some heat to it. Again, we're ramping our way up here into level 2. Very flavorful wing. I like it. You can find this one locally. This isn't anything like small batch or anything, but yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. The black truffle. It smells a little hotter.
A little more heat, but just when it first, that's good.
This is really good audio here for sure.
Hopefully some people are into ASMR.
This is actually really good. This is is an enjoyable wing. Like, I would want a plate of these wings for sure.
I agree.
With some ranch.
Oh my gosh, doing that ranch.
I think it's gonna come out every time he eats one.
I know. I should have made spicy ranch and then brought it out. That's what I should have done. Tricked you.
Chipotle ranch. So back, kind of just to cap off that, and you can keep talking or I'll keep talking, but the fire code really settled in with OSHA. I mean, we can skip a lot. We'll talk about some histories of fires specifically in Fergus, but OSHA, 1980s to 2000s, you had like really these fire codes and regulations are constantly changing, but it seems like OSHA was a huge part of establishing fire codes and everything.
Well, and I would add where OSHA is. OSHA really became a protector within the workforce in firefighting. Firefighting in itself, is dangerous activity when you have something on fire in front of you or something. Really, our enemy a lot of times, as we say, is the building. A building under assault by fire. Eventually, it wants to fall. Gravity wants to bring it down, and so sometimes our enemy is the building, and not always the in a sense the fire itself. But OSHA really, in the last several decades, has put in a lot of workplace measures to help in our profession and in our jobs that we do to make things safer for the firefighters. Can never say that ultimately we're going to have a safe work environment, and I think that goes in a lot of industries. But you do things to make it safer, and that's where OSHA has really helped lead that charge.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we're about half hour in here, and I'm just enjoying it. I love this. So I have a feeling it's gonna get. I have a feeling we're about to take a step up with this third wing here. But origins. So it says today, as far as those the transition goes. Today, fire services operate as municipal departments funded by local taxes, often mutual aid compacts across regions. Tied into FEMA, NIMS, ICS. Larger like you guys would respond to like larger emergencies outside of Fergus Falls, and that's sort of how you're expected to operate based on the fact that you're funded by taxes.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. First and foremost, we're here for the community and the services that we have, or the services that we protect, and for us, it's our community and then the 4 surrounding immediate townships that we offer fire protection for. But beyond that, though, we have mutual aid agreement with all fire departments in Otter Tail County, and then also several just the counties that border us. We have individual contracts with those municipalities or those fire departments. Then we're also part of the statewide mutual aid agreement. So, for instance, when Bemidji here back in the beginning of July, they had the windstorm come through. Well, it wasn't a fire event, but they really, as a fire department, they had a lot to handle. Millions of trees down without power. A lot of people's homes were affected. So even as a fire department, there wasn't necessarily a fire. You still have the risk of fire. You have a lot more going on in your community. You just need more help. And we were able to support them. They put out a request statewide for fire department mutual aid, and we had a couple between us and Pelican Rapids, Fergus, and Detroit Lakes. We were able to roster up 2 different trucks on a couple different dates to go up there and actually staff their city for a 24-hour work period. So it's a good example of how just everybody working together. When a big incident happens, no one community can be the most prepared to have all the resources that you need for that really big event, and that's where that mutual aid and that auto aid come into play. And we're no different here. We catch a fire and say in our downtown area, that's a big deal for us. If a building gets going, or even any large building, we start calling in all of our mutual aid partners that are in our first ring, just to get more firefighters here, more equipment, just to help us handle the incident.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, are we ready for this next wing?
Let's get into.
Let's just get into this next wing. Let's get into wing. Let's get into wing number 3 here. Tell us about it here, Zane.
Yeah, this one comes from Hot Take. Hot Take is a company that I became aware of in 2023 at a food and wine show in the Twin Cities. I met their owner. They were doing salsas at the time. Really weren't in the hot sauce space. But this one is newer to their lineup. It is a cilantro avocado, but it does have habaneros and I think Anaheim peppers in it. So I think we're going to be taking a step up here. Very different than the first 2. Like I said, we're going to try to be doing a lot of different flavors as well.
Yeah. I like that. I did get a little bit of this on my finger and taste. I can tell it's got a little bit more life to it. Oh yeah, it tastes a little salsa-y. Mm-hmm. It's got that like that pico salsa. Oh yeah, it's hot. Not like, I'm assuming I'm gonna be really, really not. I talked to Judd a little bit about that last one, and I just am not looking forward to that. But
yeah,
this I could do. This is not probably something I would go for. It's starting to settle in now a little bit, but it's not probably something I would go for. I think that last one is probably about where I'd like, if I was out to enjoy a plate of wings, that's about where I'd stop.
For sure.
Ryan, how are you feeling?
That's a good flavor.
Yeah, I agree. It's something different.
No, that one's not too hot yet.
Okay. No? Good.
No.
Good.
Well, then you're going to be he'll be better than me with this.
Yeah.
Origins of Fergus Falls Fire Department. Fergus was founded as a community, 1972, I think we elected our first fire chief 10 years later. So they kind of had just like a little 10-year transition period where they were figuring stuff out. But do you want to talk about those early origins from kind of transitioning out of our volunteer groups to hiring our first appointed fire chief, Fred Burnham?
Yeah. Fred W. Burnham.
Burnham.
Wow. Very fitting name.
Is that the right one? And, you're just hopeful that history is right and that the records we have is accurate. But yeah, I'm pretty certain it is. But yeah, he was our, the literature we have anyway, he was our first official appointed fire chief by our city council at the time. And our organization was established in 1873. And the city of Fergus Falls, or the governing body of the city of Fergus Falls, has always had a role within the fire department. But it is interesting, though, that our fire department really was held or managed by an association, where now today we are a full municipal fire department where we work within the city governance structure. We answer to the city council.
Oh, right. Yeah. So did that transition happen then in 82 with the first fire chief then, or was it still kind of a little?
Yeah, it maintained its identity as an association for up until, really we even did our own payroll as an example up until about 15 years ago.
Okay.
If you were a paid on-call firefighter, your check would come from the fire department. Then we fully transition everything within the city. Now, as employees or as firefighters, they've always been viewed as a city part-time employee, and then for the full-time staff, obviously they're a full-time city employee.
And it looks like you're the same year that they appointed Fred Burnham, they also bought a Silsby steam fire engine.
Silsby steam fire
engine for $5,150, which was a huge sum of money at the time.
Right.
I didn't do my inflation math, but
I haven't either. But our patch is still, it's not an identical piece of it, but there's kind of more of our traditional patch, and then our remake here in the last 5-6 years or so. But we still honor, again, a big part of fire service is honoring traditions, and our patch still shows the our roots in the Silsby steamer.
So in the Silsby steamer, obviously they bought that and they put it to use a year later. Was this something you hadn't learned much about the Lincoln Fire of 1883?
When you sent me the deal about our bigger fires, I'm like, 1883 Lincoln Avenue.
Hey, there is a chance that it never happened, too. Because there's a chance that ChatGPT is pulling history that never happened. If you didn't know about it or you didn't hear anything about it, but the story would have been the Lincoln Avenue fire destroyed a downtown block and they fought it with a bucket line and the new steam engine and the new fire steam engine a year after they got it. So that's the story that my assistant tells me. But fires in wooden commercial buildings through the late 1800s spurred stricter building codes here in Fergus, much like we were talking about was happening sort of in broader world. All those things were happening here.
There's probably some truth to that. We have some photos of some larger downtown fires in the early 1900s, and it's just another example of fires, how they don't always change over the years. They're still a big community event, and we have photos where there's just masses of people along Lincoln Avenue that are there, either one watching or two trying to help, and that we still have today. When fire trucks go by, it's just people are interested in what's going on.
You can't. It is amazing. You just have to stop and watch. Like it's what is that like? I just need to watch this train crash, or something.
There's something about that.
There's something about that.
And sometimes those early people that see an incident right away, they're good helpers. They really are. One, they're calling and getting the help coming. Two, they're making sure people are out of the home or out of danger. So it really is a benefit when people. If they see something and they act, that's good. Once we start to get there, and then we kind of got to start taking control of the scene and making sure people are back far enough so that we can do what we need to do effectively.
For sure. Well, Jacob, I think I'm gonna dip out. And
we're on to number 4. Sauce 4 and 5. Okay.
4 and 5.
Yep. Let's do sauce 4 and 5, and then I also, on the delivery of Sauce 5, I also say here, when needed, some ice cream and some. I got some sour cream that back there, some milk. Like I'd have some cooling agents. So we'll see. We'll try Sauce 4 and 5, and then if we need the cooling agents, we'll get those out too.
Sounds good.
And my wife did ask, like, "Are you bringing the cottage cheese? Because something to cool my mouth off." I'm like, "They got ice cream.
We've got we got you taken care of. We got you taken care of."
But yeah, so and another interesting, a fun deal is we're doing our episode today, and it's the start of Fire Prevention Week.
Oh,
I haven't even talked about that.
Awesome.
We talk about history, but really, Fire Prevention Week though stems from a very historical fire, the Chicago Fire of 1871, that burned for a couple days. And it was after that a lot of the fire marshals, the countrywide thought we need to do something because we're having a fire problem here in the United States, and so they started to acknowledge, hey, let's try to do things to put out information about fire prevention, the fire codes, and then it wasn't until 1925 that then President Calvin Coolidge actually made it a national observance that the week where the 8th or the 9th of October lands, that week, that Sunday through Saturday, is always Fire Prevention
So
Week.
we are in fire. That is just
week.
Perfect. Because this episode did take a while to come together, and it got pushed back a couple different times. And so fate would have it, we're recording this at the beginning of Fire Prevention Week. That is great. Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah. So it looks like this is, and we can talk about this as we get into maybe what you guys actually do, but at some point the fire department became more than just a fire department, and it started to do, and maybe this was more of the beginning and the roots of it, but you guys are really first responders. I mean, everything about what you do as a first responder, fire is a part of that, but somewhere along the line, it looks like you guys became the go-to for hazmat response, those sort of things. It looks like mid 1900s is sort of when those tasks started coming onto you guys.
It did, yep. And the fire departments were established just because of the fire problem. So first and foremost, the mission still holds true today that when a fire breaks out, the fire department is the one that is looked upon to take care of the problem. But that's not done in a vacuum. I mean, that really is done with all. When you talk about emergency responders, we have Ringdale Ambulance here in town. They're the EMS transport agency. And then we also have our Fergus Falls Police Department, along with our Arto County Sheriff's Office. And, it really does take a team to handle things. But you're right. We still bear the name Fire Department. And, in my foreseeable future, I certainly don't want to see that go away, because ultimately that is one of the critical missions, is to protect our community from the dangers of fire. But along with that, you're 100% right, we do so much more. It's hazardous materials. It's just weird smells. People are like, what do you got going on here? It's people looking for people. If somebody goes missing, surface water rescue. Even an example, we have a riverbank here in town. If somebody just got themselves in a tough spot along the river edge, we got ropes where we can secure our firefighters to and get them down and help that person up the bank. And a lot of times you say, well, they can. We get the feedback, well, they could probably walk up the bank. Well, there are some spots where that's really challenging to do. Or if somebody's, not used to, that environment that they're in, or the water kind of caught them by surprise, now, they're looking for help. And that's when sometimes people don't know who to call. The button is, get the firefighters out here and let's put a plan together.
Well, I've got a list here of your guys' services that you provide. We'll get into that in just a little bit here, but I want to spend a little bit more time talking about history and these significant fires in our local history. Actually, I think this is going to be the part of the episode, the section of the episode I was looking forward to the most here, is talking about some of these. We mentioned that 1883 Lincoln Avenue fire that may or may not have existed, but for sure, the Washington Junior High fire of 1967 absolutely happened and was a very pivotal community moment. I interviewed some people of the class of, I forget what year they were, but they were displaced. They were displaced. I was at their class reunion, did interviews with them. They shared their firsthand stories about this. But walk through what happened with that one in our community, the 1967 Washington Junior High fire.
Yeah, so it was reported, actually, it was a firefighter. He was, and it's one of the historical articles that are written. Les Gatto and his wife and children were driving, and they just noted a normal amount of smoke coming from, I believe it was a chimney of the Washington School. And as they could see through the windows on the second floor, they noticed flames. So, Les gets immediately to the fire station, and then
Les McBurney.
Yeah,
dude, you can't make these names up, right?
Well, it's Gatto.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I thought there was a Les McBurney. I thought why did that one come up? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Proceed. Sorry.
Yeah, but so he sounded helped sound the alarm and get the firefighters there, and it was a 2+ day firefight. Okay. And our previous again, Sparky Hovland, he was a kid and watched the fire. Develop right across the street from where he was living at the time. So
that's probably what inspired Sparky.
I think with his dad being in the fire service and just all together,
gotcha.
Just wanting to be that community helper in a sense. But yeah, that was a huge building, and the fire was reported on what I'm understanding, the second floor, kind of a closet area. But within that building, a lot of pipe chases, ventilation shafts, and just imagine fire. Take a bucket of water and let it and drop it onto the floor, and how it goes in all directions. Well, fire, basically, in a sense, kind of the opposite. It's going to go up and it goes out in all directions. And if there's open ventilation shafts or breaks in a wall where fire can enter it, it just starts to take off from there. And while the fire department at the time had a good handle on a big chunk of the fire, what it was also doing, though, was traveling to the other end of the building through unseen shafts and void spaces, and really ultimately burned the entire building.
Okay, so that was a complete loss, completely destroyed that. And then as far as the response to that, you mentioned there was maybe like they thought they had it under control, but it was happening in unforeseen ways, and you learn from that as you go, I guess.
Yeah, and different than today.
And did they rebuild the school on that site, or did they moved it then?
Yeah, it was not rebuilt there. So for those listening, the Washington School was along Cavour, kind of in that Federated Church Goodyear area.
Okay,
that is where the school stood. And as you know now, it's
Federated Church
Goodyear, the City Center Mall, all take up that space. And that's the devastation about fires at times. And sometimes they're a renewal piece where, hey, now let's build in a better spot or then better spot. But if we fast forward to the early 1980s, 1982, this one I added to our list, the Medallion Kitchens fire.
Okay.
So that was right across the street from the fire station, and where Stenderson Lumber is, and in that large parking lot by the High-Tech Center of Ottertail Power. But again, another massive building that succumbed to fire. And that one, when I talk about an economic loss that fires can have, the Washington School never was rebuilt at that location. They moved. Medallion Kitchens never did rebuild in our community and actually took the business elsewhere. So fires can really have that devastating effect on our community. And if it's a large employer, even a family that loses their home, that might just be enough to say, well, we're going to move somewhere else. So I and our firefighters definitely take seriously when we don't want to see fires happen in our community, because it's just that you have the immediate effect, which hopefully everybody always gets out safe and is not injured. But it's the long term, or the effect after that is, will they rebuild? So yeah, Medallion Kitchens is that example. In 1982, there was about I think it was upwards of 500 people that lost their jobs.
Wow.
And then an example of how a community comes together, though, and that's where that Project 500 was part of the spur, the sparked, bad pun there, but for our community to create 500 jobs within our town. So
okay, so yeah, you definitely, the economic impact of fires is huge. I mean, for families involved in a house fire, I've heard stories of people who have lost everything in a fire, and it is. I just cannot imagine. Yeah. I cannot imagine. You probably deal with it on a weekly, well, hopefully not a weekly basis.
Hopefully it's not weekly,
but often enough that it sucks.
Yeah. There's usually at least a couple dozen destructive fires within our community every year. And when I say destructive, it doesn't mean somebody's whole house burned, but there was enough damage that it's a big setback. And the other thing is, if a fire doesn't get it, the smoke does, the heat does, and the water can also get it. So you may have a home that one room is really affected by fire or burned, but the rest of the home is going to have so much smoke damage, some water damage, and then also the heat just travels throughout the house.
What about fires at the RTC throughout the years? The one I have on here is there was a lightning strike fire 2009 was the one that was noted, but anything else to talk about with that or that site throughout the years?
So I wasn't here, but not being too far from the community and being from the community, you get to hear what's going on. But yeah, it was a lightning strike fire, and that was a challenging one. Not that there was a big massive fireball, but it was really challenging for the crews to get up and put the fire out. They used the aerial truck to work on it from the outside, but they also had to get hoses up through the inside of the tower.
Okay, so they were up in the tower.
Yeah, so
fighting
they would be
that.
pulling hose up the from the
Zane.
outside of the windows and get it up into the tower.
Zane's
and
back here
work on
with some more
firefighting.
goodies.
Oh, look at these!
He was just finishing up talking about the RTC fire, the lightning strike fire.
And we did have a couple other, I'll call them minor fires, when the RTC was in operation. They just, there was a few minor fires located with some of the rooms there, but staff at the time was very quick on working on putting the fires out, and that building in itself is mostly concrete.
Well, we have a few other local fires to talk about, but let's get the fire burning in the mouth here. Zane.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were still working through local fires, but speaking of local fire, we have the Union. Let's see, this will be on your left, and then on your right.
So this one?
Yep, this is Union's Thai sauce. This won them the 2023 Best Wings in Otter Tail County.
Okay. Do you have that bottle? Do you want to bring that stuff back? Oh, this is the rub or the sauce, just the sauce, the Union sauce, the house sauce. Okay, they don't have a bottle for this one. That's right.
Correct. But yeah, it won them 2023 Best Wings in Otter Tail County. It was once a secret menu item. It's now a menu staple.
Okay.
We'll get into that one.
All right. Well, let's give it a try.
It's got peanut sauce, sriracha.
Ooh, I love that peanut sauce.
A couple other things. They garnish it up well and nice, but we were obviously just eating it straight.
Yeah, we'll eat this, and then Ryan's going to tell us.
No ranch on that.
No ranch on this. And then Ryan's going to tell us about the grain elevator fire that we had a couple years ago over by Steel Wheels, and that was kind of an interesting one. But we'll get into this wing here. See, this doesn't feel like it's as hot as the last one. Maybe it could come after. A lot of these come after.
I think what happened looking at my notes is we mixed up three and four on the board. So
okay, that makes sense because three felt a little bit more alive than this, but that's okay. That's okay.
It's just going to make number 5 seem that much hotter.
It is, yeah.
So we did have how'd the grain elevator fire start?
Yeah, so that one, a fire that we don't want to see happen in our community ever.
A big economic impact. Fire with economic impact,
and
right?
it's just the amount of fire load within an elevator is really, I mean, it's pretty horrendous. But that one we were able to keep it to the dryer, and that's where it started. So the dryer itself is not actually connected to the wooden frame of the grain elevator, but it's very close to it. So any fire that starts in the dryer, certainly, if not controlled, can start to impinge onto the wood framed elevator. Then now you have the grain elevator on fire as well. So they were drying soybeans. It was November-ish of the year, and farmers haul their crops into the elevator. Some need drying before they go into the bins for storage, and that's what was happening. And soybeans themselves are kind of oily to begin with, and not always be the cleanest commodity that's in the dryer. So you start adding heat to that, and they had some spots that weren't circulating good air, and ultimately those hot spots turned into a smoldering fire. And then just once they started to get air, then it engulfed the whole dryer. By the time our firefighting forces were on scene, and
so was the dryer lost then?
Yeah. So the dryer is a metal structure, but that in itself has some challenges because there are small little holes along the outside to open it to start emptying the product. However, you got to be careful how soon you empty the product, because burning product that empties out of it now goes up against the side of the actual wooden grain elevator. Well, now you have hot product up against basically a wood wall. So it just took a little bit of time, and that was another good example of bringing in mutual aid support, and even our neighboring departments, along with the elevator staff, really helped us come up with a good plan on getting the product out of there at the time that it was ready to come out, and ultimately we had to use saws to cut into it to start getting the commodity to get out of there.
What about the OLV fire? Who walked into the church that wasn't supposed to walk into the church? What happened?
Oh.
Who walked into the Catholic Church? The OLV fire.
Yeah. You had me stumped.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Sorry, that was a little deep, but who did it? Who walked into the Catholic Church? Come on, guys. Somebody walked in that day or was thinking about going, and boom, up in flames. You know. Right. But what happened with that OLV fire?
Yeah, that one, it was a result of their generator. The venting the vent stack that exhausted their generator just because their generator was running for a long period of time, and it just really ended up getting too hot and started the wall within that chimney space on fire. And then that came out of the chimney space and into the roof truss area of the office area. And it never did fire-wise go into the church sanctuary itself, nor the school. But there again, that's that example of where you keep a fire confined to one area, it still affects an entire building. You know, we had smoke travel into the school, into the sanctuary, and that's I haven't heard their final numbers, but our estimate it's into the $1 million at least loss just by the time you get everything cleaned and rebuilt. The devastation that it can have.
So there's some sections of that school that are still closed down now because of that fire. That's not really as much your response. You don't really track as much of that stuff now.
Yeah, and I know they were set up to hold their church gathering at the end of August, to get people back into the building.
The only other one I have here, maybe we can talk about it. I think we should eat this fifth wing here before before it gets cold.
I'll get us something to cool down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get to the sixth.
But the other one was there was and we can talk about this, house fires in general, but like the displacement of dozens of people were displaced in a May 2025 apartment cooking fire, or not? Is that a thing? Was there an apartment fire here in May?
There was, and that's a good one to actually shed some light on. And there wasn't multiple people displaced on this one, and partly because it was the quick actions of a tenant within the building that grabbed a fire extinguisher and helped a neighbor, and it was a stovetop fire, and was able to keep the fire from growing anywhere beyond the stovetop. Again, still some smoke, but it kept what a fire that would have likely engulfed a kitchen and then caused terrible smoke damage throughout the apartment building was minimized to one unit.
Somewhere along the line, someone in the government said that fire extinguisher had to be there.
Yes, it did.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Zane, tell us about this Jerk My Chain.
That is the name of it. Cooper's Small Batch. This one's got a little zip. Got Anaheim, peppers, habanero, jalapeno, garlic, onion, and then I think some chili flakes and nutmeg, I think is the secret ingredient here.
I can taste the nutmeg in there right away. Again, the heat not up front. It's definitely not an upfront heat, not immediate. I still think that this one was the hottest one I've had so far.
Everybody's a little different. Yeah.
This isn't too bad.
This one's fun.
Yeah.
This is really good.
It's like fall.
It is. It's very, very, very seasonal. This is a very seasonal sauce. And I'm not going to lie, like this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I assume that some of these, if we do some more of these episodes, some of these we get into some salsas or we get into some other hot foods. I have a feeling we're going to be in for it, but this is actually enjoyable. This is.
No, I definitely wanted to play it a little safer for your sake, Jacob. I knew that, you were the one that had to run this podcast efficiently. So
that's right. We have to carry on conversation, but
yeah,
it's definitely going a little bit longer than I thought. So I appreciate the people. We're crossing the 1 hour mark here. So we're definitely had quite a bit of conversation. Zane is going to get us the last.
I think we're going to go into the last wing, and then we'll follow it up with some fire extinguisher.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the structure of the department. We have a little bit. You mentioned 3 full-time paid. You've got the fire chief. You've got the safety inspector, the training officer, and then it says 36. You can correct me if I'm wrong. 36 paid on-call firefighters.
Yeah, and actually, right now we are super fortunate. September 1st, we were able to bring on 4 new paid on-call members, and it brought our total up to 42. So we're at 39 paid on-call members.
Wow!
And then 3 of us as the full-time staff. That's why that example of we have such a positive community, and when we do a hiring process, we have been so incredibly fortunate that we'll get some high caliber candidates to come through and want to serve on the fire department. And, for those listening that are in the hiring business, when you have some good people that are coming through, you grab them and upstaff a little bit, knowing that, we'll have retirements, or we'll have it where members' lives change and they can't make the commitment to the force anymore. So there's always that little bit of ebb and flow that happens.
Yeah. I mentioned Corey. Corey's a great guy. I work with Corey Fry at Outstate. I've worked with him a little bit. And I've had Jonah Hove on the show here.
Yes.
I had him on to talk about more firefighting from a forest fire perspective, and some of the stuff that he is sort of solo venturing out into. But you have a really good staff here. Talk about those guys. I mean, obviously you can't touch on all of them here, but talk about your volunteers, your staff.
Yeah, love to. Our staff is really what makes our department work. I am one member of part of a group of many great people that serve on our fire department. And what's neat is having a paid on-call workforce is they all have full-time employment or have had full-time employment somewhere else. So when you get a truck that shows up, you may have electricians, you may have somebody in a plumbing field, an accounting field, a leadership field, education, mechanic field, engineers. So it is pretty cool. And I do tell people that is one thing that makes our ability to solve problems different than, say, a truck of full-time firefighters showing up. And again, it's not anything bad on full-time firefighters because they all bring their own background too. But we just, right out of the gate, we got such a wealth of differing knowledge bases on that fire truck.
Yeah. That's a really good, that's a really interesting perspective on it for sure. You mentioned you service 144 square mile radius, Fergus Falls, Erdahl, Orwell townships,
Buse, and then Fergus Falls Township.
Yep. So that is, that's pretty straightforward. They don't have their own departments out there. I assume response time is pretty tough out there.
It does. We operate out of one fire station, and that's something we look at each, at a minimum once a year when we do our annual report. I run through the data pieces in my position to kind of look at how quickly are we getting places, because really in the essence of fires or significant medical emergency, minutes do make a huge difference, have a big impact. So yeah, within our city, we have a goal that we want 4 equipped firefighters to somebody's emergency within 8 minutes of our pager going off. So some can look at that and say, geez, that's a long time. Well, they may be at their own house, and then they got to get to the fire station, get assembled, get in the truck, and get to that emergency.
In how many minutes?
We try having 4 equipped firefighters in 8 minutes.
In 8 minutes on site?
Yeah. So that's our goal for our city residents.
But you can't get from the fire station to Orwell Township in 8 minutes.
And that's where, when we look at we're looking at our in-city response.
You
and
can't really get anywhere in 8 minutes. Yeah.
And we do, it's our members, that's an example of their, again, they don't, not supposed to become blazing through town when they come to the station, but, we got a few that are right around the station, whether it's during the day working. Us 3 full-time staff, we're usually at the station or in vehicles where we can start responding.
So you 3 would be in a vehicle and out the door right away. Yep. And if there was a volunteer that was able to get there and in that first truck with you guys, they'd be out
ready
there
to go.
And then the next wave would follow that.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it kind of comes in waves. That's where you might see a fire truck go by, and then maybe a few minutes later another truck goes by, and And that's just the waves of members getting to the station and keeping the trucks headed to the scene.
This might be a little out of date. This was supposedly pulled as of 2024. It lists 3 engines, 1 rescue, 1 ladder, 1 tanker, 2 wildland engines, 3 support vehicles, 1 boat, 1 UTV.
Yeah,
is that right? That's what you guys have. Yeah. So what are the different kinds of engines there? Talk about the rescue, ladder, tanker, wildland.
Yeah, so the 3 engines that you referenced, we call those our Type 1 structure engines. So that is the classic-looking fire truck that has the hose, water, some ground ladders, and that firefighting equipment that we're bringing to the scene. The ladder truck, that's our 100-foot aerial platform, and then that also has some hose and water capability, but its main mission really is rescue from an elevated space or from a lowered space. The rescue truck, that one, we think about car accidents, water rescue, things where it's more of a technical piece in nature, using ropes, along with just hauling a crew to the fire scene. That's what that truck's going to carry. Tanker truck, that's exactly what it is. It hauls 2,000 gallons of water, and that's one of our main pieces of equipment going out into a rural area, because obviously we need to bring water where there's not hydrants. And then our wildland engines, they're a 1-ton truck body with a smaller pump and some compartments on there, and they're more designed for those brush fires, grass fire. Then support vehicles, we know we have a little med response truck, we have a couple of command vehicles, and then the UTV is that as well.
And the boat, is that like is that for search and rescue mainly? I can't imagine you're out fighting fires with the boat.
Yeah, definitely not a fire boat.
Okay.
No. Yeah, very, very good point. Yes. Yeah, that's for surface rescues, or at times we get called to go, drive the riverbank to maybe in search of somebody who has gone missing.
And the budgeted as of 2024, just under $1 million.
Yeah, this year our budget request was about 1.2 million or so, and where a bigger part of our increase has been coming is just the cost of equipment is really
right.
In the last 5 years. You could talk to any fire chief, and we are just sometimes in awe of how much things cost. But we also are in the knowing that sometimes we can't control that, but we have to still be prepared, preparing our communities for having appropriate equipment. So that is where we've seen a bigger markup in our budget has been on the equipment and vehicle side of things.
And that obviously is like the big conversation to have. The people are in this community we're really having a lot of those budgeting conversations. It seems like fire is obviously something that all of the city council members can agree that we need. Yeah, but then I think the discrepancies between what you actually need within that maybe will probably start to come up a little bit. But the decision making, the budgeting, all of that goes, the budgeting committee does their thing. I want to say December, January, or like November, December, January is around the time that they're setting those budgets and rolling all that stuff out. And then they're the ones that really make the ultimate decision on how you guys get to spend this money.
Yeah, so the final budget will go in front of City Council in December, and then it'll be looking for their approval. And we call it our tax levy committee, and that's got some representatives from the City Council, City Administrator, Finance, and they start their work in June a lot of times. And we, just like any other city department, we submit what are some of our needs are to the tax levy group. And then we kind of work through the budget process. And I will say I've always felt very supported by our city administration along with our city council. I also don't think we're out asking for the world, so right. Probably a little bit. We know our community, and we try to make sure that we stay within those confines. But we also don't want to get behind on equipment, because then you just start having to pay even more as you start falling behind.
Yeah. I can smell this one already. It smells
garlicky too.
Yeah, it's definitely got some garlicky smell to it. So
it sure does.
We'll see. And Zane actually did an interview with Judd before this, but Zane can explain this a little bit. He's got the ice cream ready for us right away here. I love that. I love that. Zane, talk to us about it. We were saying it smells. You can smell the garlic right up front here.
Yeah. So from my interview earlier with Judd, he explained that there is a lot of garlic in here, and that's what you're going to get up front. I think it has yellow Carolina Reapers, the normal Carolina Reapers. I don't know. Just would be Judd's spot to explain that. But I have had this one previously, unbeknownst to me that it was going to be this spicy. It was a rough ride. So
okay.
Oh,
just be prepared. Don't touch your eyes.
That's what I was gonna say. I can say I don't think we scaled into this. I think this is like a one-win challenge. Like, we just enjoyed 5 of them, and I think that it's about to get real here at the 110 mark here. So Ryan, by all means, go for it. I've heard it's great. I've just heard it tastes good.
Yeah. We all ride together, I suppose.
That has some.
Yeah, it's almost right away for me, but
Not so bad though, where you don't get the flavor. It's good.
No, it is flavorful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some lime juice in it, I think.
Sometimes wings can be so hot that you can't.
I'm just going to eat the whole wing, and then I'm going to deal with whatever happens.
That might be my plate.
This is hot, though. I can feel the burning in my eyes. Let's talk about the fire suppression services that you guys have here. I'll list your guys' services here as we burn through this. But one of them, obviously, fire suppression. You guys put out fires, as well as performing some rescue operations.
Good for you to still be able to talk.
Yeah.
You've got the emergency medical support that you guys offer, hazmat response, public safety education, inspection and code enforcement, community support. Talk about the fire suppression here.
I'm suppressing right now. Hold on.
Holy shit.
I take back that it had full
Caleb,
full flavor right away.
You want to grab that milk?
You got milk here.
No, I know for Ryan probably.
Oh, we're all right.
I'm doing well here. I haven't gone for the milk yet. Oh. You just got to live in it. Okay.
All right. Fire suppression. We handle, it can vary by year, but 400-ish to 500-ish calls a year. And when we say calls, those are where they're unplanned events where somebody either they called 911 or they called the fire station, and we go to investigate something. And of those, around 50 or so are involve some type of fire. Doesn't mean that it's a full destruction. It might just be something that's hot or overheated.
There's some sour cream back there. I think there's some sour cream back there too if we needed it. But you said,
so the not every call that we have does it require all 3 fire engines to be out there pumping water. Ultimately we work to try to only have to put into service a couple of them and always keep one ready for other calls. They'll always go out to the scenes of fires, but we'll try to keep them intact so they can go to other emergencies, because it's not uncommon for us to get a couple calls at one time. So we try to make sure we're ready for it.
Yeah, it's.
Is your mouth on fire?
I can't tell if it's quite gone. I feel like it's going away, but it went away because I drank the milk.
Yeah,
it comes back.
How long do you suppose that's going to be? How long do you suppose that's going to hang out for?
I don't know.
Well,
that was good.
Yeah,
that was good. February 12th, 2025. It looks like the committee of the whole meeting. We asked for a relief association benefit increase for our people on call. Mm-hmm. How'd that go over? Did we get benefit increases for those guys?
Yeah, very, very good.
Okay.
Yep, our relief association, they handle the retirement benefits for all of our paid on-call firefighters. And actually that money or that funding comes from insurance premiums that are paid for building insurance policies, fire policies. 2% of right off the top of your home insurance or business fire insurance premiums is collected by the state of Minnesota. And then in turn is disseminated out to all fire departments that have relief associations, and that funds the retirement benefit for paid on-call firefighters.
Does that, and this is a good transition because you mentioned insurance. and this was one of the hot questions I wanted to ask you while things were hot here.
They did
It's hot. This is not going away anytime soon here. I like kind of want to rub my eyes, but I'm don't do it.
It'll eventually go away, Jake. You'll be fine.
The insurance ratings, the public protection classification, this grades communities. I didn't know this was a thing until I did a little bit of research for this episode, but this grades communities basically on their effectiveness to respond to emergencies or keep the public protected. I'm not sure how we rank on this. It didn't get an exact number in my research, but this is a system that ranks people between 1 and 10, and it affects your insurance rates. It affects the insurance rates that we pay as business owners, homeowners in our community.
Yeah. So, ISO, or Insurance Services Office. They're come through at least typically every 5 years, and our rating is a 3. And
3 out of 10.
Yep. So
dang. Okay, I would have. Okay, I mean, I'm just that I didn't know where we would be. I would have assumed. I would assume we're a small town.
Why? Why do we have a 3?
With having the trucks that we have, so one of the things they look at is the maximum pumping capacity that a facility would need, and ours being 3,500 gallons of water a minute. Our water supply is good, and they can handle that, and also having 3 engines within our fleet, the Type 1 structure engines. We max out the ability to do that. We have a good dispatch center that their call processing, for somebody to call 911, for them to process the call and get us paged is good. And like I said, our water department, that's a big factor actually in the rating itself. And then just on the training with being out doing fire inspections, adopting the most recent Minnesota State Fire Code, our building official, Jason Schutzley, and us adopting the most recent building code. All that starts to play into the rating, along with the training that our firefighters do. And I would say if we hover between a 3 and a 4, I'm very happy as the fire chief.
So that is a good number.
Yep.
Then. Okay.
Yep.
It just seems like 3 out of 10 seems low.
Oh,
seems like a low rating.
So 1 actually is the best.
1 is the best, is what he said.
Oh, 1 is the best. Okay, so
okay.
Okay, then we're doing very, very well. Then we're doing very, very well.
Yes,
that makes sense. Then okay,
Yep.
So we get better rates then.
We do, and the other thing is not all insurance providers use this rating anymore. It used to be a really big thing, and it still is. We still want to be doing good work to maintain a good ISO rating, because there are insurance policies that do look at it, and when they do, it makes a difference. If you're a 3 or if you're a 6, for instance, it can make a lot of difference on at least on a business fire insurance plan.
What about anything else you want to add to your guys' services, what you do? Zane, do you have any other questions here, maybe, since you're here now with us for the end of the episode? We're basically working through fire department services and future outlook of firefighting. Those are pretty much the things we have to touch on here before we get out of here. But
yeah, I had a couple of questions. I don't know if they're necessarily pertaining to that, but I was up at Grandview Lodge, Breezy Point, a couple weekends ago, and I think that there was a big fire department conference going on.
Yeah.
I think I saw some people from Fergus Falls. Maybe you could speak to that, maybe what was going on. I didn't really get a good gauge of what was going on, but is that something that's annual or
Yeah, you would have, yeah. So the Minnesota State Fire Department Association conference was going on a couple weeks ago. So we had a member there, and then just that same week, the Association of Minnesota Emergency Managers conference was held there, and I was there for the first couple days of the week, and then we had a member attend the Fire Department Association conference. And then here in a couple weeks, the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs conference will be in Duluth. And we do try to get a member or two to different outside schools, just because of what
I forgot to turn the light on.
This one definitely needs to be red.
It was definitely a red light.
Yeah.
Although I would say,
It's
sorry
good.
to interrupt, but I was back to normal. I'm pretty back to normal
good.
now.
Yeah,
It ran about a 5-minute cycle on you, and I would almost sign up for, well, maybe not another one of those, but yeah.
I like the number 2 one better. The best.
The second, this black truffle
flavor, and then the nutmeg.
Yeah,
House,
number 5.
I think that this belonged higher up. We talked about that. Yeah, because this one felt like the next hottest to me. Yeah. But that black truffle was really, really, really good for sure.
But outside training, I guess I'll just finish up that story. It's an important thing to do. It costs a little bit, to send people to different places, but what it does, it offers a really good perspective, and it's a networking piece just to hear what else is going on throughout the state of Minnesota. And we can get look nationally too to see how we're doing in a sense. What services are we providing, but ultimately, the closer we are to home to kind of figure out, are we doing good for our community? And then we look to our other Minnesota cities of like size and services. And that's probably more where I spend a lot more effort into, is our service being appropriate for our community? And that's where we pick up on some of those things, those in-state conferences.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we see fire, one of your guys' services here is community support. We see you guys at schools. We see you guys at community events with fire engines, kids climbing in and out of fire trucks. That's like as big a part of what you do as anything else.
It is. And, to those kids, they may not really be getting the message, of like fire prevention, but ultimately I always say our fire truck's out on the road or out at a community event, that's a big billboard. And if nothing else, it's just that subtle reminder, if nothing else, like, hey, let's make sure we're doing some things that are maybe offer a little bit of fire safety. Like maybe they'll go home and check their smoke alarm or check their carbon monoxide or practice a family escape plan. All things that are super simple, but we get busy.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of work specifically with like you have to be at every committee of the whole meeting. You participate in all of like the city's emergency management planning and all of that. That's sort of in your roles as a chief.
Yes, and I don't make it to all meetings, but I, as a department head within the city, I mean, we have a vested interest in our community and being a part of the team, and I feel it's good to be present at those meetings to really just know what's going on. And there's also times things come up and a question needs to be answered, and it's always nice when somebody is in attendance to be able to answer the question, or at least get the information to go seek the answer.
All right. Future outlook for firefighting, whether it be here in Fergus or in general. I mean, things are changing really fast with technology.
It is. And this is maybe a shameless plug, but fire code does not evolve as fast as what technology does. And that can be a frustrating point for if it's businesses, a new development or something, because they may see that where a technology piece maybe really help in their processes, but there's maybe not quite the gray area on a fire code or a building code standpoint. But I guess I would say within our community, we try our best we meet the intent of what the code is, even if it's maybe a little bit of a gray area. But we also got to make sure that we're sticking to how things are supposed to be. So that is a challenge. We all love technology and how fast it can be evolving, but sometimes our process take a little bit of time to catch up. And what I mean by that is the Minnesota State Fire Code is adopted every about 5 years. So you can imagine where we were in 2020 and where we're at today in 2025, and the new code will be coming out next year. What advances we made in technology, and even a simple example is smoke alarms. Just on their detection methods and how they're programmed to detect smoke. Sometimes it's getting the technology piece to catch up with that takes time in the code.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's one of the things that it lists here is changes for the future, mainly smarter detection and prevention. Obviously, smart detectors and things that are detecting things faster. You got the robotics and drones, the actual like physical equipment that they're fighting with, the apparatus and gear. You're seeing some of these AI enhanced field apparatuses. You've got augmented reality that people are going to start utilizing into this stuff. It says AI enhanced incident command. So like actually having like an incident command with AI integrated into it. Is that anything that you see in the immediate near future?
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how maybe that would work. I don't know where it would quite fit into our platforms, and I guess where I get a little bit cautious anytime you see some of these pieces of technology, sometimes they come with a pretty hefty price tag, you know.
Right.
So it's just balancing out like how do we integrate some of those neat approaches, and you know, AI incident reporting is, you know, that's a big part. You know, every incident that we go on, inspection that we take part in, AI does help us, or can certainly be a help with that on finding and citing the code. I mean, it's well over 1,000-page code book, and AI can really help dissect that and get us into a report form.
The other thing it's saying here is predictive analytics will continue to be able to predict which neighborhoods, which structures are at higher risk.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Our state fire marshal's office, they provide a risk assessment free of charge, and we put it into our communities. And you know, doesn't come without its faults at times. You still got to kind of mine through the data on what it's looking at, but it'll actually go through and plot out in our community where there is a higher fire risk based on demographic, you know, some of those census tract items that are tracked, along with our historical call volume into those areas.
Have you seen these the Boston Dynamics style, the firefighting dogs? I haven't seen them, but apparently there's like firefighting dog robots that they're working on.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
of course they
are, right? Or just in general, like drones, ground drones. You get, obviously you guys must have a drone for aerial. You guys must have a drone in your fleet.
We don't.
You don't. Not even for aerial view. No, or the police department does.
They do, and that's so we couple up with them, and that's just another, you know, a good example, or if nothing else, a segue of just how we stay very connected with our local emergency responders, especially our police department.
Sharing resources.
There is. Yeah. Yep, and we have some members who would love to have a drone and be a pilot for it, and you know, that's sometimes where I'm the fun police, and we're like, you know, let's just hold on. If we want to make sure when we commit to something, we can follow through all the way with it, and then the PDs had the resource and ability to get a drone, and we've already used them 3 or 4 times on some of our calls.
Okay.
And then there's, like I mentioned, the augmented reality, the potential of being able to have a scene that if you're in a smoky environment, or be able to have like some type of assistance map out your way out or your direction out. Is that are we starting to see any, like, do you have any analytics in your face or your goggles?
Yeah, we don't yet. The biggest piece of technology we have is a thermal imaging camera. You know, and that has to be, it's handheld by the crew. However, building that into our face pieces with our SCBAs that our firefighters wear, that will be a good game changer into the future. And I do see that happening at some point where it'll be right there in their screen. And there's prototypes out there that it's the technology's there. It's just making sure it meets the right compliance pieces for being in hazardous atmospheres, and that it's, you know, has a low fail rating, because, you know, the more you start to rely on technology, and then when it fails and you're in that bad environment, that's where firefighters can get in a bad spot if we don't remember to train on those basics without having technology.
Right. It says here, governments and policy future, expect tighter building codes, more government policy. Expect tighter building codes, requiring built-in suppression, smart detection, fire-resistant materials. Federal state funding will increasingly tie grants to adoption of new tech, drones, electric systems, AI systems. Insurance companies, much like in the 1700s with the advancements of equipment, insurance companies may force and drive adoption of prevention tech. So as tech becomes available, you're going to have it, right? I mean, won't that eventually reach a point like, the fire, now you have to have a fire engine if you're a fire department. You can't have buckets anymore. You know?
Absolutely. That's a great example of the requirement to evolve. And I think one thing you hit on in there, and certainly the insurance industry is not my wheelhouse, but I do think they will be some of the drivers too in some of the building construction moving forward. Just as much as building and fire code plays a role, I think you know, the insurance is the ones that are really end up paying the significant amounts on their losses. And again, I get there's opinions on that industry and all that, but I do think that there'll be a driver in a lot of the advancements as well.
The one thing cool here is I saw that there looked like there was an electric fire trucks potentially that are emerging in Europe, parts of North America that are able to power entire incident scenes. So that's kind of a cool thought. I mean, I assume there's generators and things that go into incident scenes when you're setting up the whole scene. Just be able to pull up a truck and just plug everything in would be crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, each one of our trucks currently, we run a generator on all of them.
So you can power incident scenes with your trucks as it is. Okay.
But to your point on electric fire trucks, just like electric cars or hybrids, that the city of St. Paul is one of them that has an electric fire engine in one of their downtown stations. Now, challenges, again, it's neat technology, that greener, less emissions type deal, but it also comes at a really expensive cost. And fire apparatus right now they're definitely at the just continue all-time high of what they've been at. And an engine nowadays is right at about $1 million.
Wow. That's a lot of spaghetti feeds.
That's a lot of pancake feeds. Yeah. We didn't talk about your guys' events at all, and the events you put on in the community.
I have a note for a shameless plug for our open
plug
house.
it. Now's the time. We're an hour and 30 in. If there's people left, now's the time to plug it.
And it's funny. I looked at all your other podcasts. I'm like, about an hour.
We're in it now. We're in it.
People know me well enough that we're not going to be done talking in an hour. So we have our fire prevention open house tomorrow night, which is Monday, October 6th. It'll be from 5 to 7 at the fire station. We have some local vendors that have made some chili, so we're going to do our chili cook-off again, so people can come enjoy a cup of chili.
Bet you there'll be some spicy chili there.
There probably will be some spicy chili,
We'll have to do a chili. We'll have to do a spicy chili episode sometime.
I think so. I think that'd be fun.
Chili would be a good one.
Yeah.
So please, if you're listening, come on in. And this year, just a quick deal, the prevention message is charge into fire safety. It's lithium-ion batteries in your home. And when we talk about technology, that's been one that's been challenging in the fire services. The lithium-ion batteries are great when they're working right, but when they become damaged or charged incorrectly, we've seen it even firsthand in our community that they can be the result into a fire.
Interesting.
Yeah. Zane, any other thoughts? Any other questions for Ryan?
No, I was going to touch on the events, but I'm glad that we got to it.
Okay.
I think that's a big part of our community. I think a lot of people enjoy it. You get a good turnout. A lot of money donated and gone to a good cause. So, I don't have any other questions for Ryan, I guess. For you, I just want to say this has been great.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this.
First one, I know we had some kinks.
We'll work out the kinks. We'll work out the kinks. Well, these episodes will get, if we continue them, they'll get more efficient.
Yeah.
We'll get our process hammered in and dialed in. But this was a lot of fun. Do you want to just run us through these sauces one more time?
Yeah.
And just kind of talk about that experience.
Number one was a rub. It was the pepperberry from
delicious, smoky
Bush Brothers. That's an Australian blend. The second one, which would be a favorite, I think, for Ryan, the black truffle from Melinda. That one you can get anywhere, so feel free to pick that one up. The third one was double take hot sauce out of Minneapolis. It used to be salsa. We did the cilantro avocado. Sauce 4 was the Thai local in-house here at Union. You can get that one on their regular menu. Sauce 5 was the
jerk.
Oh yeah, jerk.
Jerk my chain.
That's that small batch one with the nutmeg, fall spice, and then Judd's Union garlic reaper.
And that's also on special right now.
It is on special.
It's for a select period of time. So you can come and have that experience if you want to. I can't imagine that this will be like, we're going to have some hotter lineups of things.
Yeah. Certainly.
I'll be honest, I was expecting more.
Okay.
So But the end there
was
was
challenge, Jacob.
Challenge.
This one was good.
Yeah, that was really
Give
good.
you the two.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 2 and number 4.
For sure.
Perfect. Yeah. No, I love the challenge. Let's
Yeah.
go. I wanted to be careful with you.
Yeah, I like that. I like that for the first one. Start small. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan mentioned, you weren't around, but this is actually the kickoff. Sunday today is the kickoff of Fire Prevention Week.
Oh, okay.
So this just timed out that we're doing this on Fire
awesome.
Prevention Week. It works out awesome. So
the week delay worked out well then.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I guess for our closing remarks, your closing thoughts, touch on the best community fire prevention advice.
I seen that on your list, and there can be so many, but the one that we always default back to, and I think it is just important, is make sure you have working smoke alarms. And if you don't have them, or if you need help getting them, just reach out to us at the fire station. We want to make sure that every home has a working smoke alarm, because ultimately that is your early detection. So many people think I'll wake up, and it unfortunately just doesn't always happen. And that's one of the least expensive things you can do to help protect you if your home was to catch on fire.
What else do you feel like you just wish people would know about the fire department and maybe they learned a lot about, hopefully they learned a lot about what you guys do here, but like, is there some misconceptions or anything that you feel like you wish people knew and understood about you and your guys more?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people, they're surprised when they hear that the overwhelming majority of our team is paid on call. Like, we're not a full-time fire department. And I think that's attributed to our members' professionalism, and doesn't mean we don't make mistakes and we're not human, but ultimately the group is there. They're there to serve. And I think that really is a testament to their professionalism, along with the support of our city leaders, our elected officials, that, we have the good equipment. We come forward and we ask when we're in need of something, and the support has been there, and we maintain it. And that's one thing that's important to us.
Well, thanks for doing this. This was awesome. Thanks for
Ryan.
being willing to participate in this. It should be easier to get guests now for these hot wing challenges, maybe after you've done it. So I appreciate your willingness to participate. And Zane, nice job on the chef duties.
Yeah.
Thank you again to everybody who participated in making this happen. Toast and Union here, letting us use their location. Uncle Eddie's. We'll get some Uncle Eddie's ice cream in here next time. And then Victor Lundine's, Caleb over at Victor Lundine's and Signworks helping put together the logo and the branding here. You guys are very, very much appreciated. And thank you to the listeners of this show. We'll be back. I can't speak to I don't really care to get into the details. I'm not on air with KBRF anymore. Still currently working with the radio station, but the capacity of the podcast has just, for personal needs, it just kind of had to get reined in a little bit. The once a week was too much for me. So expect me back on air when I want to be back on air, and when Zane and I want to be here, and we'll get you guys some good content. So, but thanks a lot, guys. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here with Judd. Judd made our sauce number 6 for tonight's Fergus Falls Hotlight podcast. Judd, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's kind of one of my favorite hot sauces that I have ever had was a sauce by a brand called Torchbearer, Garlic Reaper. And I just kind of played off of that and just threw a whole bunch of garlic together, threw it in our fire oven, got it roasted, and roasted up some peppers with it and blended it all together. Threw in a little bit of lime, a little bit of vinegar and salt, and that's about it.
Awesome. Is there a specific pepper attached to this one?
Yeah, it's a Carolina Reaper. It is the Yellow Reaper. And so the Yellow Reaper, that's super hot, has a little bit more of a citrus kind of flavor profile, whereas like the regular Carolina Reaper has more of a floral kind of vibe to it.
That's exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you recently put this on a product here at Union?
Yeah. We have a wing special right now with it.
And how has the community been receptive to that?
Not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, Judd. Appreciate it. Looking forward to trying this here in a little bit.
Yeah, It's a spicy one. It's definitely. I've made a lot of hot sauces, and I wanted this one to be really punchy, really strong, and if you like garlic, it's a really good hot sauce. You get hit with garlic right away, and then the Reaper heat will kick in pretty much right after that, instantly. So,
sweet.
Yeah,
get all numbed up.
Yeah, I just tried a little bit of it, and yeah, my tongue's still a little numb from it. So it's a fun one. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Judd.
Yeah, absolutely.